Hey everyone, welcome to the Happy Flosser podcast. My name is Billy Lunt. I am your host, and I am here to talk to you about all things dental hygiene to support you on your journey through the dental hygiene program. Welcome, so glad to have you. The DISC personality types profile is a framework, and this framework brings awareness to an individual of their type of preferences, tendencies, and personality traits. And how is this beneficial to you as a dental healthcare provider? It's huge for you to be able to recognize behavior patterns. This improves your ability as a dental professional to be a better communicator, a better team member, a better leader, and an educator to your patients. In this episode, I'm going to talk about the different types of the personalities that are within the DISC framework. What drives those different personality types? How you can communicate effectively with each one of those personality types. We find it fairly easy and comfortable to jive and communicate and work with people that are just like ourselves. It's when we work with those people who portray different aspects of the DISC personality type that sometimes creates challenges for us. So in this episode, we're going to talk about the 4 different personality types. The reason to go over this and to understand this is because this helps you understand what drives you. What is your personality type? How do you perceive yourself? How do you react to the world? What preferences and tendencies do you have? Self-awareness is the key to growth, to taking the limits off yourself, but it also improves your ability to understand and communicate with others. And that's my hope and goal for you in understanding the DISC personality types. So that's what we're going to talk about. Hey, are you in dental hygiene school or just got your acceptance letter and just started dental hygiene school and you're worried about how you're going to fit it all in, what the evaluations are like, what the key strategies you need to set up in order to be successful? You don't want to have worked all this time to get accepted into dental hygiene school only to make some pretty major errors in your first and second semester. I've put together a course that will really help you set yourself straight right out of the gate and get yourself started on the right foot in dental hygiene school. Whether or not you're just entering school or you've done your prerequisites and you're just well on your way halfway through, this course is designed to help get you straight and keep you straight so that you can become a dental hygienist. Click the link in the show notes and check it out. We're talking about the DISC personality types profile assessment. And you can take this free online at any time, and I would encourage you to do so. It's called a personality type, but it's really about behaviors. And there is a distinct difference between personality and behaviors. Personality is about what you are, and behaviors are about what you do. And what's really cool about DISC is it focuses on the behaviors because we know that behaviors can be modified to improve our interactions with others. And I did speak in a previous episode with Liz Lord. We talked all about communication and we touched on this. We didn't specifically talk about DISC, but we did talk about communicating with other people. And one of the modifications that you can make is to mirror the person that you are trying to communicate with. And I think Liz used the analogy of someone who talks slow and they're kind of easygoing. You don't want to be fast talking, high energy. You want to kind of mirror what they are also conveying to you. So if they tend to talk slow and be kind of calm, in order for you to have a seamless conversation with that person, you need to mirror the way that they communicate so that they have a better chance of understanding you. When we understand the behaviors that are natural tendencies for us, it gives us an opportunity to maximize our interactions with others rather than what's comfortable or natural to us. It doesn't feel comfortable or natural to us to be completely different in our communication than what comes natural. So, what the DISC personality test profile does is it really helps you build awareness about what your personality type is and how you communicate and how you interact and respond to the world. But it also helps you build awareness of the other types that are there so that you can recognize those traits in others and then make it easier for you to mirror the person that you're trying to communicate with because you're able to recognize the behavior that that person is conveying through their communication style. So, DISC is just a framework that brings awareness to an individual of the types of preferences that they have, or tendencies and personality traits. And DISC teaches us empathy. We can develop awareness of how we need to adjust our behaviors to specific situations. And this is so huge when we are doing our oral hygiene instruction with patients, or we're trying to help build value in something that we're recommending for our patient to do that they've never done before. And some patients want the cold hard facts. Some patients really want to understand the reasons behind what you're doing. You need to look at their behaviors and mirror their behaviors when you're conveying information for them in a way that they can understand. To employ empathy means that you're able to view a different perspective in a very authentic way. Knowing the information behind DISC provides you with a level of awareness on how your patients respond to and are influenced by the world around them by being able to identify what their personality types are. So, by taking the DISC personality types profile for yourself, recognizing and understanding all the 4 different traits, it will help you identify that in others and understand how you need to communicate with them in a way that they understand. Most of us are a combination of more than one behavior style when you're using the DISC. DISC is DISC: dominance, influence, steadiness, and conscientiousness. This is the acronym DISC that I'm talking about. And you'll notice when you take the assessment that you're probably strong in at least one, maybe 2 categories. And there are combination behavior patterns with the double styles. No one style is better than another. And it's important for you to be able to recognize the behavior style of those that you want to have an influence or an impact on. And when we're talking about that in the world of dentistry, it's about your patients, it's about your coworkers, your team members, understanding your situational awareness and how you respond and how you communicate and what your personality or behavior patterns are. Being able to recognize it in others will go a long way at building your leadership skills. Let's start with D, dominance. These are people that are direct, they're independent, they're assertive and decisive. They're very ambitious. They are high achievers with lots of goals. They're very direct with their opinion. They're very comfortable with conflict, and they will assert their direct mission forward. They speak very confidently and efficiently and can come across as very blunt. They tend to be competitive and they take charge. They're very direct with their communication and they're focused on results. They're very objective and they don't make emotional decisions. They don't like wordy explanations, so you want to use as few words as possible when you're explaining something to a patient who presents as a dominance DISC. Some of the positive attributes of a person who has this personality trait is that they're very competitive, they're a problem solver, they're very task oriented. The I, the influencer, this is a very confident, engaging, outgoing, and enthusiastic individual. They love social settings and building connections with others. They love to try new things. They're very motivated by connection. They come alive with an opportunity to try a new approach or idea. They're very open-minded and they work well in a group setting. They're typically described by people as friendly or charming. Eyes are also your very task-oriented individuals. The S-Steadiness, these are your dependable, steady, and naturally reserved people. They're known for being very sympathetic and loyal to a small group of friends. Steadiness personality types are very thoughtful in everything that they do. They do not like constant change of plans or interruption. They tend to be a little more soft-spoken and choose their words and actions to convey warm and friendly style of conversation. Your C, your conscientiousness personality profile type, is very cautious, analytical, and process-driven. C's tend to make decisions from a place of logic and thought process. They can change directions quickly if supported by data or facts. They're very observant in social settings, and they do their best work alone. Like all the details and autonomy, they tend to avoid small talk and are not easily distracted. They tend to ask a lot of questions. So think about these four different groups, the D's, the I's, the S's, and the C's, when you're talking about oral hygiene instruction. If you're talking to a D personality type, you want to be very direct and you want to be very focused on the results that your patient will achieve by doing what you are suggesting. If you're talking to an I personality type, you can use more words and you can put a little bit more emotion behind what you're discussing with their OHI process. But they do like new ideas and new approaches to things, and they like to try new things. So don't be hesitant to bring this up to an I. Your S patient is a very thoughtful, very precise person, and they're very people and feelings oriented. They're methodical and analytical. So you want to give them some data-driven results behind your OHI process and what you're recommending to those patients. They're a little bit on the cautious side, so you want to be sure that you're slow and steady when you're introducing new things. You don't want to give them too many new things to try. And then your conscientiousness, the C on the DISC personality profile, when we're discussing OHI with those patients, you want to be right to the point. Give yourself enough time to answer lots of questions and really open up the questions with the patients that are Cs. They're very cautious. They like to make thoughtful and logical decisions. So they have to be able to ask lots of questions to give themselves the opportunity to process the information and make a decision from a place of their supportive data and facts that drives their decision. When we take the time to understand the DISC personality types, I just think it's what's so great about DISC is that it's simple and straightforward. And you can take the profile test and then really take some time to see if you can identify the DISC personality types in those among you and those around you and those that you work with. What this will do is really go a long way at helping you have a level of self-awareness so that you can move forward in your communication style with patients, whether it be changing a behavior, using some of the patient's health beliefs coupled with their personality traits and how they present themselves to the world and how they communicate to really create actionable changes for your patients. Taking the time to become aware of these different styles really will help you in the clinical setting when you're trying to communicate with your patients and have some of those really tough conversations. I will assure you that it's easy to have conversations with patients who have the same personality traits as you when they are mirroring what's natural to them. So if you're an I and your patient in the chair is an I, it's going to be so easy to have conversation with those patients and move them forward through the process of care. The challenge comes in when you are stepping outside your comfort zone and you're working with a patient who maybe you're an S and they're a D, and you're having a really hard time being very direct and assertive and efficient with your communication, and so that you're not relying so much on emotions to drive the conversation or people's feelings. You're more task and fact oriented when you are mirroring somebody who's in your chair who's a D. This stuff will go a really long way in helping you better communicate with patients. And it's just like anything else. The more that you do it, the easier it becomes. And this is something that you can practice with your friends. If you have a friend and you take the DISC profile test online and you determine that they're something completely different than you, and you probably are already discovering this, right? You're like, oh, I'm definitely taking this test with so and so in my study group, and you take the test, and then you can help each other understand the different personality types a little better. This will also make it easier for you to recognize it when you have a patient in the chair. You can say to yourself, oh my gosh, they're definitely an I. Oh gosh, yes, this patient is definitely a C. And then you can cater your oral hygiene instruction or your case presentation or your treatment recommendations to that patient based on their personality types. And when you're talking to them and you're conveying that information to them, you can mirror their personality type and you can talk to them in a way that they understand. It'll feel uncomfortable to you, but your patient will appreciate that you're talking in a way that they understand. They will not even realize that you're changing your style when you're speaking to them. It will just feel like they can relate to you a little easier and a little more effectively because you are mirroring in a way that they understand. On your journey to becoming a dental hygienist, there are all different aspects of patient care that are important for you to develop. Lots of skill development happening, whether it be in the clinical setting, in the academic setting, getting ready for your board exams. But when you're in the clinical setting working with patients, it's not just about your clock positioning, whether your instruments are sharp, how you're adapting your instrument, how you're speaking with your patient, but how you are interacting with your patient when you're trying to create a behavior change. So, this stuff, the personality profiles, is really important in order for you to be effective at really changing your patient's behavior. And the reason why this stuff is important is because you know, as a provider, that if you are not able to elicit a change in your patient's behavior, then every time you see them, they're going to present the same way, if not worse, when you see them in the clinical setting. So it's really important for us, if we want to change the oral health outcomes of our patient, we want to implement some changes for them in their preventive uses and what they're doing at home, because what they're doing at home really matters. It's a multiplication table of them doing something continuously every single day so that when they see you, they have that beneficial change. So just look at the DISC personality profile understanding as building self-awareness for yourself on how you communicate with others, how you respond to the world, what your behavior patterns are. And then recognize those patterns in others so that you can mirror your patient to build a bond with your patient where they're actually understanding what it is you're conveying for information. This goes a long way to develop positive change behaviors in your patient and develop connectedness to your patients. Your patients will just feel like you understand them, that they're being heard, and they're understanding what you're saying to them because you're speaking in a way that they understand. I know this sounds a little crazy and it's a little harder to understand than actual toothbrushing methods or preventive strategies where you're giving them a certain type of toothpaste. This is a little deeper. This is peeling back a couple of layers to really get to the core of how your patient's behaviors can be modified and what you can do in your communication with your patient in order to build that relationship in a positive way. You got this. I would invite you to send me any questions that you need answered. Questions come up when you listen to this podcast. I have a link in the show notes, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. Also, I would appreciate a review if you have time to leave one. Thank you so much.